Well, welcome back to the currently unnamed YouTube channel. We have our first video that I'm ever going to do, and I'm actually excited to get started. What this is going to be today is walking through a carb rebuild for a 2001 Yamaha Royal Star Venture. Now, I've already gotten a few steps ahead, but I wanted to stop and get this video going to explain what I've done so far, where I'm going, and you guys get to see the process. So without further ado, so here's where we're at with the bike right now. You can see the carbs are taken out there. Got a lot of other stuff off the bike, which I'm going to cover that in the overview video, which is going to be filmed after this video, but it goes before it. Let's not worry about that. But the carbs go in here. I had this towel sitting here just to keep some dirt out. This is the main connection to the air box. The two air filters on either side. It comes down here and mixes with the fuel lines and goes into these 4 intakes. And normally there's a carb in there, but now it's over there. So here's what we have so far. Carb is taken out, it's on the bench. Over here to the right, you're gonna see a second set of carbs. This came with the bike. It's cracked and kind of worn out, but I'm gonna need some of these spare parts. But over here's the carb. Over there is a Kawasaki Ninja carb. I don't think we're gonna do a video on that one. But yeah, I've already gotten a head start here. I've taken the float bowls out. I've also taken the vacuum reservoir covers off the ends, and that's what all these springs are on the back. This thing's in decent shape. There's not a lot of gum or gunk on the inside. Yes, it looks a little rusty. Yeah, it's a little, I guess, kind of faded, but none of the holes are really messed up here. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to fully disassemble this carb. I know a purist will come and probably correct me, but really I need these jets to work and these floats to be at the right height, and obviously the jets to be fully cleaned out, but I can live with some scum and stuff on the outside. I mean, the choke works, the butterfly valves, everything works. They're synchronized really nice. There's no free play in it. And so I'm going to cut some of my losses here and just clean out the jets and the holes and get this back on the bike and make sure this bike fires up and runs. So what I'm going to do is, you're going to see in this time lapse here, I'm going to get these jets out. I'm going to try and get all the floats out. I can't because of these brackets. If I'm going to be lazy and leave them on, then not all of these floats will come out. But I'm going to spray and clean and get in here with a little tiny brush as best as I can, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so what I just finished here was I had to change out one of the choke plunger thingies. I'm pretty sure that's the technical term for it. This has 4 carburetors, so there's 4 choke jets. And that one back in there, I snapped it off earlier when I first was messing with this. You'll notice there's supposed to be a little, well, here's the old busted carb. There's a little hat, a little flat part, and I snapped it clean off. So I had to take this old carb, the donor carb, and disassemble it and pull that sucker out. Take this all apart, pull some bolts out, spread it open, get it in there. It doesn't actually take, it's somewhere between a 14 and a 13, and you just have to get lucky and pop it loose without stripping the plastic and unscrew it. So I got it all back in there, lubed it up nice and good. There's some scaly junk on the walls and the inside, and I'm hoping I got it all out. And now, all 4 choke plungers work as they should. So that was that. Next, once my little brush kit gets here tomorrow, I'm going to deep clean all these little jets and float valves and get in all the crevices and poke all my little holes and blast a bunch of air through here and clean this guy real good. Alright, so I'm going to have to walk back what I said earlier about these choke plunges. I let this sit overnight, and what I found was these chokes are just seizing up. Inside this one that I took apart yesterday, there was a bunch of stuff built up in this cylinder, and I thought maybe some chemicals and some cleaner would sit in there and get it all cleaned out, but that is not the case. So I think I'm gonna have to take this entire carb apart. Not looking forward to it, and it's gonna be hard to keep track of 4 different sets of parts, but I can clean it all, have some peace of mind, and know that I did it right. Alright, well, you saw all that time lapse going on. Here's what I've got so far. I have 4 carbs fully taken out of the frame. Tried to keep everything as straight and as it came off so I can figure this all out later. Bunch of little screws and hoses and clamps and cables and springs and doodads. But here's the bare carbs themselves. These are going to go into a bucket of chem bath, and it'll strip out all this crap, all that grime and oil and all these tiny little jets that are in there, especially down in here. I mean, some of these jets are pressed in, you can't pull them out. Maybe you can, somebody can correct me in the comments, but a lot of little tiny pieces that are just gummed up over the years, and why I want to play it safe and just do this the right way. So all 4 of them, and I've kept them in a particular order so I know how they go back. And then more importantly, all the tiny little pieces, the jets and the springs and the needle valve whatevers. There's an enrichment circuit with a thin little rubber diaphragm in here. All of that stuff, I've sorted it. These things are going to go in the chem bath. Everything else I'm going to clean by hand with carb cleaner. The chem bath is pretty harsh, and I don't want it to tear up little rubber plastic pieces. So this is all the bare metal jets and things that are going to get cleaned. Some of these suckers are really tiny. So So this brings us to the end of this carb rebuild video, and you know, I have to say, this was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was pretty nervous to take this whole thing apart, especially when it came to these little springs and just how everything's connected and linked together. Also, this carb mechanism looked really complicated, and all the different hinges and bushings and all that stuff had me kind of nervous, and just the fact that it was 4 of them, I didn't know that I could do it. But what helped was taking it all apart and laying it over here, kind of in the rough layout that it was on the carb, and that helped me keep track of all the parts, and I had all my little pieces and the float bowls up there. Also, having an entire carburetor sitting right next to it, granted it was in some rough shape, it's over there, but I could glance over and see just how the choke went on and how other pieces fit in and where the brackets were supposed to line up. And I took a ton of photos, so as a whole, this went really, really well. One thing I did do was I scavenged the plunger suction cup thingies. I don't know the actual term for it. Some of these were sticking, and so I noticed there were some in the old carb that were in really, really, really good shape. I mean, they had no creases, no folds on them, and so I put those in here, and they run like butter. And so now all 4 of these move really smooth. One of them is a little slow, but still pretty dang good. So that was a big plus. The only part that didn't make it back was this little washer, and it came off of this side of the carb where the throttle position sensor is. I looked through the manual, the service manual and the diagrams, and I don't know where this particular one goes. It was only by itself. It wasn't in a set of 4, so we'll see if the bike catches on fire. It was that washer. But yeah, I would feel very comfortable doing this again if I had to, and it was definitely a success. So, in the spirit of this channel, if you're sitting there wondering, man, you know, could I ever really rebuild a 2001 Yamaha Royal Star carburetor? You probably can. I was able to do it. I'm sure you can figure it out. There's way better videos out there that are more in-depth. Mine are just kind of time lapses, but that's what we're doing. We're just walking through the different phases of this build and showing you if it's something worth getting into. So if you like this video, I don't know if I should start saying all that YouTube banter of like, subscribe, share, but I guess you can. If your comments are mean, I'm just not going to read them. So that's the wrap for this video. Stay tuned for the next part where we're going to do a valve cover gasket replacement. That's going to be coming up next. So keep watching. Thanks for your support. Catch you later.